Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first bit of top class action for the day. I am today's lead commentator, Robert Ionescu, and I am a former Italian Grand Prix winner, mind you. Won the 2014 race. Alongside me is someone who has never raced in the top class Italian Grand Prix, that being Ben Swalinger. Hello, Ben. How are you doing?
Pretty fine, Rob. Thank you. So, we're getting close up the European portion of the season in GP4C, and the title fight, it looks like it's heating up as we speak.
Yeah, indeed. So, without further ado, we've arrived here at the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza after a pretty entertaining Belgian Grand Prix, I'd say, and it's time to get going with this practice session. If you missed the team news, it has just been revealed that Ferrari will keep, to the surprise of literally no one, the same lineup of Jake Galloway and Chris Chatfield. Meanwhile, Evan Byrne will be making the move to Red Bull to take Franco Gamba's vacant seat, since Gamba is retiring at the end of the season. Also in the news, we have two test drivers driving this week. Those being, Lamborghini have a special livery as well, but those being Rifki Fakhrizadeh in the Mercedes and Aaron Curtis in the Aston Martin band.
Looks like Aaron Curtis isn't. Well, Aaron Curtis, this isn't his first time that he ever drove in the practice sessions. We previously drove for Alfa Romeo back in, I think, in 2020 or 2019. I'm not sure. And pretty much when he became a test driver of the Alfa Romeo, he wasn't really impressive during his GP2 times, to say the least. As Ferrari and the two Aston Martins comes out on the track. And I think we should speak about the driver standings at the moment because so far it looks like it's Franco Gama's to lose. He's currently in the top of the championship with 170 points. Let me count that out. 33 or 23 points ahead of Amaka, but that is still manageable. That is a manageable gap, but one wrong weekend and that could easily go to base. Jay Galloway elevated up to third, up with 109 points after his win with Belgium, and Jesus Perrin finally getting a podium at the France, finishing third in Belgium, and thus he's on 108 points in fourth place. Then comes George Rowe, who goes up the top 5 with 94
I think
points.
we get the idea.
And he's equal points on Franco Lopez, who is still doing pretty well, to say the least. But I think Amar had a much better season this time around than his teammates.
Yeah, Kai's doing quite well for himself. Speaking of him, here he goes, trying to make a move on Alpha Tauri. But yeah, Armor Ka, the other commentators have touched on it many times this season. He's been incredible in the races. He and that Mercedes have got some trouble in qualifying, and that's their main Achilles heel. Fortunately for them, it doesn't really matter where you qualify at Monza because you can overtake, as Andre Federi is on a lap here. So, yeah. It's a straight line speed circuit, of course. Power is pretty damn important here. And this could particularly help the Renaults, which have been quite quick in a straight line this season, and might be especially difficult for the Ferrari pair, considering just how atrocious they have been in the straights so far this season. It's so difficult for a Ferrari to overtake somebody else, even though Jake Galloway was able to get some wins, including in Spa. Yeah, Ferrari have a disadvantage at their home track.
And that's especially bad news for Chris Chatfield, who had just check his stats, and he still hasn't got even a podium. He has got a podium the first race of the season in Australia in third place, but he never managed to achieve a win. He scored 2 pole positions, one at Belgium and one at the Spanish Grand Prix earlier this year, and he still wasn't able to translate to put that into victory because all the rotten luck he gets.
You're making it sound like it's easy to win in that car.
And I'm not saying it's easy to win in that car. It's difficult, but especially at Belgium, he was pretty much unlucky when he retired at the race. His lack of pace was just one thing. Not finishing the race itself was another, after scoring a pole position, as Evan Byrne currently goes up to fifth, and you can see the standings already up on the screens.
Well, Chatfield has been struggling a little bit this season, but I wouldn't say he's been doing too terribly. Anderson appears to be on another improvement. He is currently fast in the Aston Martin and 2 tenths up in the first sector. Also in the news, I think Amelia Wilson is running a special helmet here in Italy, so that will be interesting. I'm not sure what the helmet is about. I think it had the Italian flag or something. But Daniel Fraser, meanwhile, her teammate goes 17th, battling with the Lamborghini Rahul Patel, who just went third fastest. And Lamborghini might be poised to have a pretty good weekend here, of course. Let's not forget they won in Austria, which is pretty much a power track, with Laura Chung in a race that Rahul Patel took pole for. And yeah, Lamborghini, they could be performing really well here. As Curtis tries to make a move, and he does make a move. And I think that was an Alfa Romeo that he overtook there.
And I think he even ran a little bit wide over the rumble strips and the curves. But he managed to hold on to his car.
Looks like he's being overtaken here. No, the Alfa's backing out of it. And the Aaron Curtis, we could talk about his F2 season a little bit if you want. He hasn't been having any brilliant standout performances. He got on a podium a few times, but of course he hasn't won, but he's never won a race. And if there's Rookie Fakruzay now goes fastest, Rosa goes second. But Curtis is on a consistent run of form. I think he's, if I'm not mistaken, 5th in the championship or thereabouts. So I'm sure he wants to do his best.
Yeah, he's currently a fifth, and looks like he's one of the only drivers that he got the chance to defend his title in GP2. But it's really interesting to see if that's enough for him to gain a seat in the top class for this one's. I'd like to see.
Well, he is in the running for a seat at Aston Martin, so he might have a shot, especially given that he is the team's test driver. As we see some further improvements up throughout the field, Chris Chatfield only 15th fastest. His teammate Jake Galloway goes 7th fastest. That was a massive improvement. As Patel in Prix again, he goes up to 4th place. Lamborghini clearly not holding back early on. He's got a little deep though, trying to slipstream at Haas in the meantime. But as Pernian has improved, he's gotten into 9th fastest. Before 4 minutes to go in this session, here's how things look at the moment. It's Fakruzay fastest with Chung in second. They also had the impressive third in the McLaren, that is Patel. Julius Anderson, incredible 5th place, in the Aston, which he could improve on right now, actually. Which he does, he gets back in the 4th. So Patel's now 5th. Curtis has improved to go 8th. Willows is 6th, Galloway 7th. Curtis, as I just said, is 8th. Then we have Armarca struggling for pace a little bit in 9th, which is weird, especially surprising compared to Fakruzay. Kai has just improved to go 8th, but make that 9th because Byrne has just gone 2nd, and running out the top 10 is now Curtis.
If you're going
off the track, he's going to crash it. He's at the wall, and the spare car ban means that at the end of his practice, and his teammate has been collected as well. Both Williams will take no further part. They've crashed, and that's practice over for them. The Grove outfit won't be taking part any further in this session.
That is rule number 1, broken right there, everyone. We've seen a few mistakes about GP2 as well as
F2.
Oh, sorry, F2. Sorry about misspelling. I think it was Simon Oskan, the championship leader, who crashed around the same corner. And we also had similar crashes in recent years. Last year's one was especially dramatic, as Franco Lopez was the one who managed to slam into the barrier. Luckily, he only lost his front wing and didn't crash out of the race at the final moment.
Meanwhile, thank you to Joe in the chat for telling us this. So, Amelia has a special helmet for this week in dedication to her mom, who was Italian, who passed away 20 years ago. So this is like a tribute livery. I think it's a very nice gesture from her. So let's hope it bids her good luck. But yeah, so that's the reason for her special helmet. Meanwhile, Felix Sontag's car is being removed. We'll see him again in qualifying, but that is a lot of data Williams are going to miss out on, especially some very useful long-run data as well. But yeah, what do you think of that special helmet, now that Joe has given us the story about it?
To be honest, I can see the Italian marriage. I mean, it is a good thing to hold another nation's, well, let's say, flag on the helmet or in the series as overall, because we see Kirishima Roses for a while now carrying the Italian flag. Like, despite the fact that he's, I think, Indonesian, if I remember right.
You really want me to put everything you said today into OC quotes, don't you? No, Hiroshima de Rosa used to race under the Polish flag, but now he races under the Italian flag. Wilson is American, but for this weekend she's running an Italy-themed helmet because her mom was Italian. That's
now that's
Jojo's posted there in the.
Now that sounds interesting. Oh, that sounds interesting. To be honest, at least she shows that she really cares about his family, or also her family. Sorry for the ramble there.
Either way, Jamie Griffiths, he's in the garage. Spare car ban is in effect, so he won't be going out. He can get out of the car and just relax. He won't be going trackside for 32 minutes at the very least. Rifki Fakhrizadeh is on another lap. The Indonesian driver. He's Indonesian, not the Rosa. As Wilson doesn't improve on that lap. She's going to make a dive down the inside of that McLaren, but can't get the overtake done. Bernian, meanwhile, is massively up. He's only 400s down on a personal P1. So let's see if he could perhaps go for it. This isn't qualifying, so he's not going for pole. But let's see what he's got. As we take a look at Wilson's helmet here, Patel improves yet again to go third fastest. That is a very nice helmet, and a very nice a reason for it as well. As Rifki Fakhrizadeh is currently going purple, he's already fastest, but can he get himself into the 1 minute 20s? All he needs to do is improve by 2,000s to do that, and I think he might very well just do it. He was down in the first sector, but improved in S2, and let's see if he can carry that speed and momentum through to S3 and across the finish line. If Fakhrizadeh, no, he's lost some time in the last sector. He won't be going to 120s as things stand. Federi has improved though. He's got 16 fastest.
Well, to be honest, I feel a little sorry about the Italian. He hasn't got the best of seasons. He hasn't scored any points yet. When he got the chance to score a podium, some points, and even a podium in Great Britain, then Franco Lopez, if I remember right, would just decided to ruin the day of the Italian there. Looks like I managed to miss that detail. I just got the info that he scored a point in Spa. So, thanks for that.
Well, nevertheless, you have Jesus Pernian, who is on an improvement, currently in P11, and let's see if he can gain some more positions here. As Fakhrizadeh is 900 down through the middle sector here. Pernian improves, but only into 9 fastest. Or was he 9 fastest before? I don't even know. But Mercedes, at least with one car, clearly doing better than expected here with Rifki Fakhrizadeh.
That would be surprising if the test driver in Mercedes, as dominant as it was in the previous years, is just destroying the normal second driver of the team, which is currently Yamaha, who's currently still sitting in
Second
P10.
driver? God's not the second driver this season.
Oh, he improved to the first driver role? I see then.
I mean, he's the only one that won races in that Mercedes, so...
Well, yeah, we can consider that in this aspect. Willows goes 7th, makes some improvements.
Pernian is not improving on this lap, but none that matters either way, because his run is done. He's going to come into the pits at the end of this lap.
Well, so far, as things stand, one of the Aston Martins of Anderson is pretty much doing the same thing that he, did in the previous races, and the both of the Lamborghinis are doing pretty much well so far in this practice session. They are up in third and fourth, respectively. And as we already mentioned, the surprise that Ricky Fackerson is still leading the practice session in the Mercedes. We're right on board with Franco Gamba, who's turning up in an improvement with
7.5 hundreds up for the middle sector. He won't be going fastest, but he could climb a few positions. He's currently down in 13th as De Rosa doesn't improve, only just. Next to cross the line is Federi, who does improve, goes up into 15th fastest, sorry, not 16th. And yeah,
one of the
we are at the speed of
oldest,
tempo.
one
This
of
is
the
going into OC quotes.
one of the oldest F1 tracks in the calendar. And this is pretty much an easy and a bit of a difficult track at the same time because, sure, there are a lot of straights, but finding a good compromise to make sure you don't lose too much of the straights itself and make sure the car does turn into the corners and into the chicanes. It could be a bit challenging for people. Well, low wings are pretty much used for this practice session as there's one more car battling with one of the Haas cars. As I think.
And I have just posted your comment from earlier into OC quotes. Thank you very much.
You had to do that, right?
Anyways, I told you earlier how you're gonna get a lot of stuff posted on that today. Nevertheless, Quag doesn't improve, obviously. Anderson does. He's doing incredibly well in the Aston at the moment, up in 5th place. And Franco Gamba still languishing down in P12. This is unexpected, really. Nevertheless, practice, you shouldn't think too much about it. Red Bull are struggling right now. And they can bet they'll be competitive in qualifying.
And I think that's not what Franco Gamba needs, but he's a bit lucky that he got almost a whole race gap to the car behind, which is Amar Khan. So even if he gets a bad weekend, his rival, he might just be just a few measly points away from his rival, or in a better case, just stay ahead in the championship if things go in Amar's way, which doesn't seem like it because he's currently in 11th.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, Frank. I think Franco Gamba knows you need to maximize every single weekend you can because just because you're 23 points ahead in a championship now doesn't mean you'll be 23 points ahead heading into the last race. You need to grab all of every single point you can because that's what makes the difference at the end of the season. I think Franco Gamba knows that very well. I think he wants to win every single race he can. Sure, he's not going to win every single race, but if he aims to push as hard as he can, he'll definitely improve his chances for the championship.
I mean, he's
made a little bit of an error into Variant Ascari, but he's coming into the pits either way, so it's not like it hurt his lap time or anything.
I mean, true, he's a racing driver in some motorsports. This is what you have to do if you want to stay in competition. Keep up with the competition. Push hard and maximize every possible opportunities that you can. And if you mess it up, then you mess it up. That's all I say.
Willows improves yet again, going 6th fastest at Q-Puck is now P20. And here we have Daniel Fraser. Under pressure from one of the Renaults. The Renault takes back in the slipstream. But yeah, with the special livery Lamborghini, look a lot like the Haas and Renault. Especially like the Haas, I'm not gonna lie.
I think I can see that, especially when we saw the two cars in one picture for the moment. And
we have too many yellow cars on this grid.
Yeah, they pretty much look similar to each other. Good thing that we have a few stickers that we can and changes in the liveries that we can make the difference between the two cars.
Chatfield has improved. He is now 14th fastest, just behind the Red Bulls. As Fraser does not improve there. Stays 17th fastest, and Haas are not really doing great so far today. Curtis improves to go P8. And the Ferrari, apart from Drake Galloway's car, even he's not doing that great, but the Ferrari power teams appear to be really struggling today.
We can see the same thing for Amala Wilson and the second Haas, who's currently 4 tenths down on his own teammate. It's a dead loss. 3 tenths behind Felix Sonntag in the Williams, who doesn't take any part in the session after his initial crash with his own teammate. But that would be a worrying sight for the young American who managed to snag at least 2 point scoring positions this season, while his teammates managed to get 3 or 4 point scoring positions.
She's a girl, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he's completely. She isn't really talented. Because
I mean, he
she
kept
gets
calling
even
her
given.
he all the time. Chatfield
Yeah.
improves again. He gets in front. He splits the two Red Bulls. A second slower exactly than Fakruzane.
Paranym mathematically is still in title contention. He's currently sitting in 10th. He needs to do a lot better than this if he wants to keep his slim title hopes alive. But I can say that because the Renault this season is really has been unreliable, as we saw it a few times.
Mats, we have 9 races left to go in this season. Literally everybody is still in championship contention. So it's too early to talk about mathematical chances.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for reminding that, but
As Jake Galloway is starting a lap, but yeah, Renault have been a little bit of a shambles. No wonder why Evan Byrne wanted to leave them so immediately and promptly, as Galloway makes a move on the McLaren, and he's getting his lap properly underway here.
The Renault of the 2021 GP4 season is pretty much like the Ferrari of the real F1 season. Pretty much fast but unreliable. I think that sums it
I
up.
think that comparison has been made plenty, and there is a grain of truth to it.
Why am I not surprised about this? As here goes Henderson crossing the line, and he doesn't look like he's going to improve.
Chatfield improves again. No, he didn't, and he's impeding that Alpha is going to try to go for that overtake. Here goes Federi in the Alpha, fails to get the overtake done on Anderson. So that's another lap ruined. In the meantime, as I was saying earlier, the down on power Ferrari engine is definitely showing an impact here. Let's look at where the Ferrari power teams are. The Ferrari power drivers are. Galloway P9. Sure, you might have expected that from the Ferrari on a bad day, but he's been P9. Chatfield 13th, as Kubak has just improved, but Kubak is not the Ferrari power driver. Then we have Quag in 16th, Federi 17th, Fraser 20th, Wilson 22nd. So yeah, it's not a good day for the Tifosi as of right now. Plenty can still change, of course, so we'll have to keep an eye out on that. And once engine power is everything, and if your engine is bad, it's going to be a lot more difficult to win.
Well, the only thing you can hope for is either for some rain or pretty much just much chaos around the track, which we had a lot of times in GP4 OC that made some shocking winners, to say the least.
I mean, if you remember the 2013 race, I beat both Mercedes in a dry to wet race, so plenty of things can happen. I was in the Lotus back then, but yeah, many things can happen in this series, and even a car which is slightly slower can pull off an upset and be victorious on the right day. As Wilson is out on track, she is currently down in last place and being overtaken by Willows before the parabolic. Yeah, so she will get some slipstream onto the back straight.
That's going to give him an advantage at the start of the lap, but I'm sure she's going to be held up at the McLaren if he doesn't get past it pretty soon. And there's a Ferrari right behind him, so I'm not sure which one of them. So
You know she's a woman, right? We can't call her he.
Oh yes. Okay. I'm not sure if you're there on the chat, Joe, but you can pretty much count my pronunciation butches.
Galloway is gonna get an overtake down on her in the meantime. And he's gone purple in the first sector, but his run into the second chicane was a little bit compromised. George Roque has gone 10th fastest in the meantime. But Jake Galloway, I think, is finally starting to lose the sandbag. So that could be interesting. But even if he's gone purple in S1, he might be down in S2 because you need to have a clean run into the Variante de Roja. And his was compromised just tiny little bit. So let's see. And middle sector split. How well is Jake Galloway doing? He is down. So the overtake on Wilson has definitely cost him some time.
it's not. I mean, it's not easy to gain some slipstream to get some advantage on your opponent, because most of the time we see that the drivers, once they get a slipstream and get some advantage from the car in front, they immediately go into an overtake. They have to go into an overtake on the car in front and doesn't pull off, and that will cost them a lot of time. And I mean a lot, as we
Strollback
saw.
improves yet again. He's 18, but Galloway doesn't improve. He's lost a lot of time last sector on his best. No, yeah, sorry. He lost a lot of time on last sector on his best, as I was saying, because he was only 2 tenths down on his best, but 6 tenths down on the leader. So yeah, the last sector is just Variante Ascari and then Parabolica, and the two straights that are affiliated with that. The straight towards Parabolica and the front straight. So yeah, if you're slow in the last sector, it's not a good sign. And the Ferrari power deficit clearly on full display. Galloway, meanwhile, is 100th down in the first sector. As Rogue has improved yet again, but stays in 10th. Quag improves, only having 15th. Galloway, of course, let's talk about him, because both him and teammate Chris Chatfield have just been announced to be retained by Ferrari another season here in Monza of all places. He's actually doing very well, only 1,000 down on factors in front of the middle sector. But don't forget, his last sector was traditionally weaker. But yeah, on the topic of the Ferraris, Galloway, I don't think there's any doubt he deserved to be retained. Chatfield, he was retained as well. Not exactly because he's been doing great, but because there was literally nobody else vying for the Ferrari seat. Apologies to 2K Ignacio, but he never really stood a chance. It was Galloway and Chatfield from the very beginning. And Galloway has improved by 1,000 of a second to remain in ninth. He's lost 3 tenths on factors in the last sector alone, dear God.
I mean, Ferrari retaining the lineup isn't too much of a surprise. Both the drivers are pretty much talented. It's just that Sheffield has got some bad luck, as we already seen. And I already mentioned it in the start of the practice session. And Galloway, I think, no, I can't really doubt it. He pretty much is the next driver who can pretty much go for a championship if he got the chance for it and the car for it, which Ferrari now somewhat has, but not totally, because he's a bit far back, like from Franco Gamba and Awaka, for example. But if he can string a couple of few good results here and there, he might swing back into contention fully.
It's too early.
I know, but seeing how his season progressed, I don't think we can
Carlos
count him out.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think it's still, with 9 races to go, it's too early to talk about who's in and who's out. Sure, we know Gamba and Car are definitely in, but it's too early to rule some people in, and likewise to rule some people out of this.
Meanwhile, I'm just checking the timing sheets, and the Car finally goes on to the top of the standings.
Yes, I just told you, and he's just gone into the 1-minute 20s.
Yeah, 3 tenths ahead of his own team. It looks like he was. Sorry, he was. Looks like he was pretty much sandbagging the whole season. Now he's shown some of his true
season. Nah, I think everybody is still sandbagging, but Kai is finally feeling more comfortable with the balance of the car. And Mercedes doing surprisingly well here.
But despite the fact that we saw them struggling at the start of the season, for example, they looks like finally got a track which suits for both cars, but I'm not sure if I can say that, because Franco Lopez hasn't got any chances to drive the car this weekend. He had to say without the practice session. We will get a few laps
again
in qualifying.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, but Mercedes' main strength has been on the downforce tracks this year, especially in race pace. You wouldn't expect them to be that strong at a power track, and yet they're topping practice as of right now. Gamba and Wilson have just improved in the meantime. Gamba up to P5, Red Bull finally laying down the gauntlet a little bit. Wilson still in last, though.
So, 40 minutes left, and looks the the order is pretty much starting to take somewhat of a shape. But we have to wait and see how things go in qualifying, as we already mentioned a few times.
Yeah, that's right. Jay Galloway is in the garage, so is Roman Quag. Quag is just getting ready to go out on track in the meantime. And he's definitely been one of the star performers this season, I'd say. Roman Quag in the signups has decided to go pretty bold. If I'm not mistaken, his number one choice is Renault. And who knows? Can he get that seat at Renault? He might very well. He might very well have, especially now that it's confirmed. Renault have one vacancy with Ember confirmed to go to Red Bull. But Armor Car has just improved yet again to go to around mid 20.8. And yeah, what do you think about Quag so far this season?
I can't really doubt the guy. He showed some of his talent. He still got it from the previous seasons when he was driving at Williams before being dropped in favor of you back in the day. And sorry to bring the 2016 season up if you don't mind it. But
I do very much mind it. Please don't bring it up again.
Okay. But I feel like that Roman Quagga still got the pace to match up with the guys in front, and I would really like to see him back in the top step of the podium after a few years of absence.
In this car, it's gonna be easier said than done.
I know with the feel that this field that is really competitive, no doubt. Here goes Miklos Gal.
No improvement.
He's going to improve as well. So,
Quag is starting a lap in the meantime.
Can we talk about a little bit about Gal here, because he didn't have the best of seasons at AlphaTauri. He was pretty much beaten by his own teammate Kupok all season. The only exception is, and that is basically his only high point of the season, is in Monaco of all places, where he finished third. He finished third, scoring his first podium this
Quag's
season.
got a little bit wide into the second chicane. In the meantime, kicked up a little bit of dust, but Gal is improving in the first sector. But yeah, Kupok has already been confirmed to be retained by the team. Apart from that podium mark, as you well said, Gal has been struggling, but I think he's still got some flashes of brilliance he can show, as he's currently not showing any because he's down on his personal best.
I'm not sure if he be able to keep his seed if he has got performances like this. But if he can pick it up just a little,
well,
maybe.
It doesn't have too strong opposition. I do think he'll be retained. As George Roque, meanwhile, is in the slip is now alongside now in the slipstream of that Hess in front of him.
And that's pretty much a help up right there. That pretty much for Joe Roque is going into the bin. So
it's just practice. I don't think he's going to care so much.
Yeah. The only thing we can get from practice is some data, at least for the teams, to be honest, and some guessings about how the timing sheets will look. This can change in qualifying, as we already saw, especially in the fantasy era of GP4C. And I think we've seen this plenty of times.
Well, yeah, that is true. Things can very, very easily change, and we can get some big surprise results. Most notably, of course, when Koch got onto front row in Barcelona. As here we have Hesperian back out on track, giving a little bit of tow to the Aston behind. And Hesperian has been doing quite well. He got some pole. He got a pole, of course, in Portugal, and he got a few podiums on his belt. Missing out on that first window just yet. As another improvement from Kupok, goes to 17th.
Well, as things stand, it doesn't really seem like Perrin has got the pace to challenge for pole positions so far. But as already mentioned, it's just only qualifying. So I think I mentioned it plenty of times that It's only just practice session. The qualifying things can change. So I'm not sure if I have to even going to bring this up again.
Well, nevertheless, Anderson is getting the overtake done, and he's having a brilliant practice session. But will that carry over into qualifying? I am not quite sure.
Well, I'm hoping that he get a seat in the next season because he pretty much had a one season seats at Williams and Caterham. So I hope it's really pretty much a third time lucky thing for him.
What's he going for, Renault? Because if he's going for Renault, oh dear God, the memes. So we might not see him on the grid next season like this. But yeah. Anderson, I think a little bit too hung up on the Julius Turano memes. But he is trying his shot, and who knows, he might be able to get it. But it remains to be seen. Especially when, given that he has to fight Roman Quag for it. Meanwhile, here we have Federi out on track. He's pretty much all but confirmed to leave Alfa Romeo because it's lower in the pick order than his first choice, as Roke has improved to go into 11th fastest. And dear God, my tongue is burning right now.
Oh, that's a bad thing to hear, Rob.
It's okay, it's okay. So, for the remainder of this practice, I'll let you guys talk some more. Well, I go get some water or something.
Okay. Okay, then. As we ride on board with Andrea Federi and the Alfa Romeo here, now we ride on board with Jay Galloway. So far, doesn't really look too good for the prancing horse at their home races we already mentioned. I'm just trying to see. Galloway is currently down in 12th position, and Chris Sheffield is currently down in 14th, so that might not be a good day for Ferrari here.
No, definitely not yet. And as I spoke earlier, they gotta do something on that power unit for next season because it's an embarrassment to be so slow on the straight like this.
I think I can agree with that. They haven't been that strong on the straight since the initial changes in engine rules, where their engine got pretty much nerfed at the 2019.
Yes.
So it'll be a bit hard to climb back up the order with on the engine side of things.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, they talked to Benz about something. So I can go grab some water. As Cubak improves yet again. Well, if you guys don't want to talk, I'm going to have to stay here, and the water's gonna have to wait until the break, dear God.
Go get the water. Go get the water.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah,
we
five
still
5 minutes of practice remaining with Mercedes 1-2, Gamba P3, Byrne P4, and Patel P5. What are your thoughts on the practice so far?
to be honest, I would say it's a little bit surprising how the order rank once again has changed. The Ferraris are pretty much down in the around the midfield, especially, which is surprising despite the fact that they were on pole last week. So, yeah, things can change from one race to another, and it's a pretty disappointing session for Primo Gamba, to say the least. Championship, and he needs to pull himself together. And sorry, I managed to mess it up. But okay, you can see it.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't understand a single word, but we move on.
Okay, I managed to mess this up big time. So Frank Gumma is currently up in third, as you mentioned, so I think by the looks of things, he's I mean, he maybe got a slight chance for pole position, but I'm not sure if he can do it. But as we said it already a few times prior during this session, we have to wait and see.
Sorry, what were you saying? I didn't understand.
I just wanted to talk about Franco Gamba's possibility about if he will manage to score a pole position or not.
Well, it's too early to say. It's just practice. Wait until Q1 and Q2 because nobody's going out just yet. You know what I mean, right? As Galloway makes a move. Honda Haas, or is that a Haas? Is that a Lamborghini? Who knows? Who cares? Jay Galloway certainly doesn't care. He's finishing his lap here, and can he improve? Fraser's coming back at him on the main straight, and this is gonna be a dash to the first corner. It's like we're talking about a race here, but it's not. Fraser makes the move either way, and Galloway's pain is just compounding like this.
Well, I was hoping that they don't come together. We already seen a lot of contacts that crashes into turn one, especially when we. And so I'm hoping that we will have less of those during the fantasy era of the series, because that is pretty much one of the things that I fear about in Monza, because we already saw a few incidents like this into the chicane, so
It's Monza. There will always be a collision at turn one there, as Grisham Madurat has just improved to go 6th fastest in the McLaren. Obviously, McLaren's last season with Renault engines before they make the switch to the returning BMW next season. So that is quite interesting. Of course, Williams, after a very long time with Mercedes, will also make the switch to Lamborghini PUs.
I'm not sure if that is a good position for Williams, but the engine oil.
You're joking, right? The Lamborghini engine has been great this season.
Yeah, this could pretty much change. Changing from one engine to another is pretty much always a risky move for a team. So, sometimes
risky, but it works sometimes. So,
really,
as Wilson is finishing a lap in the Italian flag helmet, she doesn't improve. What about Willows? He doesn't improve either.
Whereas on Malcon, he doesn't look like he's going to improve either.
No, he's not. Way off the pace there. But he is currently fastest, and I don't think anybody can dislodge him from P1 in this practice session. Definitely not the Williams, because they're not going out. But here you have De Rosa finishing a lap. He had a couple of improvements lately. Can he get an R1? As he's about to cross the line, the Italian driver... No, just under 2 tenths down. Here we have Laura Chung, who is on an improvement, so let's see what she can do in the special liveried Lambo. Heading across the line, the Modena team doesn't improve. We're not Modena. Lamborghini is from Bologna, isn't it? It's Ferrari who is from Modena, because Maranello is close to Modena. Nevertheless, Chatfield is next to cross the line. Speaking of Ferrari, can he get that improvement? No, he can't. He is way off the pace. Actually, not way off the pace, but 1/10 of the pace. But for all intents and purposes, there's no difference between 1/10 and 2 seconds. If you're slower than your best, you're slower than your best. And Jake Galloway, he doesn't improve either. He's a second off. And if Fraser, 3 seconds off. He's lost a lot of time, as Amelia Wilson will be next to finish the lap. She will get to the line in time, of course, but who will be the last car to make her across the line? As we got 10 seconds to go, Wilson starts the last lap. She's coming into the pits either way. Willows on a big improvement. He's got 4th there. Great effort. As we got 4, 3, 2. Kyle is going to make it. 1, 0. Checker flag is out. Guy is not going to make it. He doesn't improve either. But that's it. So is Willows the last car there to cross the line? Yeah. Or Curtis. It was Curtis.
Here's De Rosa, who's going to cross the line soon.
No improvement.
Either.
Chung is improving again, you know. She get herself to the top 5 maybe with this effort. Let's see how she crosses the line to round off her practice session. Goes Laura Chung. She doesn't improve last time in last sector. Yes, Anderson remains 9th fastest. Miklos Gal doesn't improve. Andre Federi did not get to the line in time to start a lap. What about Jake Galloway? Can he improve on his current lap? He is down in P12 at the moment, just 2 places in front of teammate Chatfield, and Ferrari are not having a good time right now. But Galloway, he doesn't improve. His main losses have been in Sector 3. He's just matching the marks for Sectors 1 and 2, but in 3 he was just nowhere. George Roque is on a big improvement here. Let's see where he's going to end up. 9th place wasn't that big of an improvement after all. Curtis doesn't improve, and that's the end of practice. So with all that out of the way, it's Armarka fastest with Ricky Fakrazane in the test role. Second fastest in the Mercedes and Franco Gamba in third. Don't go anywhere though, guys, because very shortly we will be back with the qualifying session for the Italian Grand Prix.